Hello and welcome. My name is Renne, and together we'll be exploring the topic of resources. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear understanding of what a resource is. I'll be giving you some guidance, sharing some practical and easy to implement resource ideas, as well as a little theory, and hopefully giving you some food for thought. And at the end of the video, watch out for the top tip I've included for you. I'm not exaggerating when I say that resources are everywhere and within all our reach. Together, let's take a detailed look at what they are and where you can find them. Perhaps the first resources we all think of are those that are visual, like pictures, photographs, postcards, or flashcards, all of which I think you'll agree are easy to access and can be used in multiple ways. For example, an easy and communicative use for pictures is a class mingle. Give each student a picture, ask them to walk around and stop for a quick chat with a partner. Together they should discuss any similarities between their pictures. Our everyday lives are a rich source of resources. We call these realia. In other words, things we might all have at home, like a program, a map, a plan, a diary, a timetable, a recipe, a newspaper or board game, or even just an empty glass jar. Vocabulary jars are a cheap and easy and very versatile resource. At the end of each lesson, hand out small pieces of paper and ask your students to write down a new word they've learned. Collect a few and put them in a clean glass jar. I find this an invaluable resource for recycling vocabulary, teaching writing, and doing speaking tasks. There'll be an infinite number of games and activities you can use the words for throughout the term to revise and ensure real learning is taking place. Resources can also be adapted, tailored, or specifically prepared with either a group of students or a learning aim in mind. A good example is adapting a standard board game. In each of the squares on the board between the start and finish, write an error commonly made by your students. And remember, you don't always need to make every resource yourself. Your students will get a lot of practice and pleasure out of filling in the spaces themselves. In groups, they can create the board games for each other. It'll maximize their learning. And research shows they're likely to be more invested in playing a game they've helped create. From our examples then, it's clear that resources are often tactile, allowing our students to move and engage with the pieces, allowing them to rank, sequence, or match cut-ups, order pictures into a narrative, or work out a puzzle. Sometimes, resources only require verbal clues, like telling a story, doing a dictation game, playing a pronunciation game, or singing a chant. To review and practice a grammar point like a tense, I like to use a game of simple gestures or physical positioning to get my students to copy cues, order or sequence themselves, or even create a living picture. Some resources, as you can hear, are paperless. The each one, teach one technique allows students to play teacher and test each other by selecting new words and defining them for a partner to guess. Another activity I like is hidden words. Ask your students to think of a word they learned recently. The object is for each student to use their word naturally and undetected somewhere during the lesson. If a student succeeds and nobody notices, they score a point. It really focuses students as they're listening to see if they can catch each other out and steal their point. And of course, nowadays many resources can be found online or created using the modern technology our students like, often making it easier to set homework and engage our teenage learners. And finally, don't forget that the teacher and the learners and even the classroom, the chairs, tables, boards, are invaluable and versatile resources. So to finish, here is my top tip. Keep 2 vocabulary jars, an active one, and one into which you move all the words once the students know them well. This way, you can see how many words they've learned reflected in the second jar. It's very motivating to see the second jar filling up, and of course, it gives you more space in the active jar.